And so the war in Iran has caused a pretty obvious fracture in the Republican Party, we've all noticed, one that's been highlighted quite a bit in the media. Piers Morgan has called Ben Shapiro a propagandist as a fierce supporter of Israel and the bombing of Iran. Megyn Kelly also attacked Shapiro when Shapiro went back at Piers Morgan, calling him the same cancel culture vulture spitting, sneering intolerance that Kamala Harris is. And then you have Tucker Carlson, who's gotten really dark on this war. He absolutely despises the bombing of Iran and insinuated that Trump's demands for an unconditional surrender from Iran, which is the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, by the way, would mean the rape of Iranian women by American troops.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. It requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons.
All right, Dave Rubin is the host of the Rubin Report. He joins us now. Good to see you, Dave. I think it's pretty easy to see why we have a fracture here. I think what we're doing is the right thing to do, but I also acknowledge that Trump literally built his entire political image by criticizing foreign wars and the global agenda of the elites here in this country, right?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to make the distinction. Trump was always criticizing endless wars, right? Yeah. I don't think Trump was ever said he was against war for the right reasons. Now, you can have the, let's say a purely libertarian approach that America should have absolute isolationist foreign policy, and that can be your opinion, and that's a perfectly legitimate political opinion. I mean, I think what Tucker is doing with the rape comments that you just made, his endless obsession. I mean, every single episode is about Israel and or the Jews. He brings on lefties now and he glazes them, and then he brings on people on the right like Mike Huckabee or Ted Cruz, and he grills them relentlessly. I think this is a guy who went to Saudi Arabia, a place where churches are illegal, and said that he was happy and safe in the seat of Islam. Those were his words. Also said he was buying a house in Qatar. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Tucker. Megyn's dissent has been kind of disappointing, but I think she's purely doing it for clicks. I think she just saw a lot of energy around Nick Fuentes and Tucker, and I think she's just decided to get some clicks off of that. And, what can I tell you about Piers? He's a British tabloid journalist. He'll do whatever for a click. It just kind of is what it is. I would say, though, just quickly to wrap it up, that Trump has laid out what he is doing. Iran is not going to get nukes. This is something he has said for at least a decade. You can go back 40 years, him talking about the Iranian hostages, that we have been at war with these guys for about 40 years. He's getting rid of their ballistic missiles because, as Marco Rubio laid out, they were going to create basically a shield for their nuclear weapons program. And look, they're firing at 13 different countries right now. I think what's happening in the Middle East is a complete realignment. Most of these countries are realizing, hey, Israel's not our enemy. The United States isn't our enemy. They're defending us right now. And if the mullahs and the next Ayatollah and the next Ayatollah are gone and the Iranian people can get their country back, this will look rather remarkable. I understand that's a big if, but we will see.
It's the Tucker thing I always try to figure out, because he created such a big name for himself and has such a big following. And then he just, on this one, it's, I'm trying to figure out where he is, because he obviously has a penchant to some extent for some of these Gulf Arab countries, like you said, but those guys are also, against Iran in this moment. And it's just a matter of, does he just hate the Jews? What do you think his motivation is to be so defiant and so harsh on, in this moment?
Well, I would say he does have an unhealthy obsession with the Jews. I don't know what's really in his heart or mind, although he did blurb one of my books, and I considered us friends for quite some time. He refuses to engage with me now, which is fine. He's written off a lot of people that used to consider him friends. So that is what it is. But I think largely, this is a guy who a week ago or a week and a half ago on his show said that Iranian agents were running, or that Israeli agents, Mossad agents, were running around in Qatar, and then Qatar had to admit it wasn't even true. He never issues a retraction or a correction. He just had Douglas McGregor on his show, I think yesterday, who was claiming that all our American bases in the area were destroyed and we're using Indian bases. It's completely made up nonsense. He won't address that. So I think this is one of the problems. We have to whatever extent we have a free internet, Rob, anyone can put on a jacket like us and get a nice background and pretend they're doing journalism. I try to tell the truth to the best of my ability. I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. I know you do the same thing. And if either one of us makes a mistake, we correct it. I would just watch people. I mean, people have an internal way of figuring out what's true, and I think a lot of people are waking up to what he's spewing.
Yeah, it's funny, I mean, the McGregor thing, you're right. I mean, he comes on and you think, oh, he was military and he knows all these things and he says all this stuff and it just sounds so interesting. And then you look it up and it's like, none of it's true. And you just wonder, like, what the hell what are they pushing? You always have to be cognizant of that. As you said, anybody can get up there and talk now, and there's an internet full of people like that. Dave Rubin, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.